Heidi ho neighbors, Radio Goji here, and welcome back to more self-abuse for the millions of views that I'll never get. AKA more drunk Mega Man Legacy Collection on the PS2. One moment, please. I know as of this recording session, I haven't even gotten around to editing my first session of this, but decided to go ahead with it anyway because it's fun. But in the last session, I started off on, from the beginning with Mega Man 1, and got all the way to the second stage of Dr. Wily's Castle on Mega Man 2, and I got quite salty near the end, because something that, to this day, for whatever reason, eludes me every time I play Mega Man 2. I fucking hate the Wily Fortress, the Wily Castle in Mega Man 2. It's terrible. Also, before I go on here, I do want to point out one major change. We're on easy mode again. I thought about this for quite a bit when I was on my way home from work today, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to save myself the headache. I'm going to save everyone the frustration and the wasted time, and I played through the entirety of the game on easy mode, much like I did with Mega Man 1, so that we could play on easy mode for the castle. And it's already been shown that I can beat, at the very least, the lion's share of the game, the standard levels, while drunk on a normal difficulty level. So, no shame here. Plus, these energy tanks that I'm getting, I just got the one that last one that would fill me up to full energy tanks, because you can only hold 4 energy tanks in this game, unfortunately. But it's very, very important that I have those, and every time I got a game over, I would be losing the energy, whatever few energy tanks I'd be picking up. And it's crucial for me to have these in the upcoming levels, because this game has some dickishly stupid bosses. Now, the boss in this stage is, to be completely fair, not one of those bosses, those unfair bosses that I mentioned. It's just because I was drunk, I wasn't doing it well enough, and that boss that I kept dying to last time is actually very, very easy. But because of the upcoming stuff, I am, taking the easy way out, literally going to easy mode, and, if push comes to shove, and I have to do this for future games in the series as well, at least up through Mega Man 6, I will do so. And, I mean, the only ones I can foresee myself really going into easy mode on, maybe 4 and 5. Because 3 I know by the 3 and 6 I kind of know by the back of my hand. 3 because it's my favorite classic series Mega Man game. And 6 because back in July, when I did the drunk run of Mega Man 6 on its own, I practiced the hell out of that game, and pretty much got to learn it inside and out. There are still some stupid parts to it, but not nearly as many as like this game. This game has some pretty terrible bosses coming up. Not like I said, not including the one in this stage, but like this guy, I'm fairly sure we can take him out easily enough now, seeing as we don't take as much damage. He still takes the same amount of damage from whatever because of how he's segmented out and everything. He still takes the same amount of damage when all of his segments are destroyed. But we don't take nearly as much damage, so we should be okay. I'm also not completely drunk yet. I just kind of took a nice few big gulps before starting the escapade today. See, we got him, like, no problem this time. Unless we get hit again. No, we don't get hit again. Sorry, I should probably put seizure warnings on these. My god. But, yeah. The next stage actually has, like, the worst boss in the game. Those of you who know what I'm talking about will know what I'm talking about. I think it's this stage. Has it. I think this is the one with the wall turrets. That is the part I'm looking forward to least in the game, and that's why I'm holding on to all my Crash Bomb. Now, you'll see when we get to it, but the wall turret boss is basically set up in such a fashion that you have to meticulously plan, like, your entire attack run of it. It's basically perfectly... It's a bunch of turrets that are... I mean, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And we'll see it again later, but... Just because I feel like expositing a bit here. There's a bunch of turrets that are on the walls, and some of them are also blocked off by... actually, no, in the next level is the wall turrets, but... there are also a bunch of, like, crash bomb walls. And it's basically spaced out so that even with the maximum amount of weapon energy for Crash Bomb, because Crash Bomb is also the only thing that will destroy the turrets. Like, the turrets will die in one hit, but they, you know, each one contributes to the health bar, more or less. And you don't have enough, like, your maximum Crash Bomb shots are not enough to destroy all of the walls and all of the turrets. So you have to plan out which walls you're going to destroy, and you know, which ones you're going to have to get around using, like, item 1 or something like that. That's why I've been filling up a lot of item 1 when possible. No, this is definitely not it. Oh, this is the Guts tank. I keep forgetting this is a thing. This is weak to Quick Boomerang. But, I know that there is, like, a cheap way of getting rid of the turrets, and it's basically using the Crash Bombs, which you can, on the walls, letting yourself die, killing enemies in the room before to build up your Crash Bomb again, and then going in unimpeded against the turrets. Now, I normally don't like doing this because either way, the turrets do a lot of damage to you. And that's the reason, the main reason why I want to keep stocked up on these energy tanks, is because they do so much damage. It's very hard to stay alive if you're executing any kind of plan. Now, hopefully I'm going to be, you know, on the drunk run, I'm going to be sober enough to be able to pull this off. But I do know my way around the boss. I do know how to, you know, basically defeat the boss with little fuss and muss. I just need to have full energy tanks to do it, because I need to keep healing myself. And there really isn't too much of a way, unless you, like, can pause the game and unpause it real quick, that you can dodge any of the shots. Because they all converge on you. Now, Beat here is pointing out invisible walls. There are invisible floors in this area. Well, I mean, it doesn't point them out here, but there are invisible floors, like that one. I just usually use item 2 across this, because fuck it. And, you know, if you take one wrong step, you'll go back down the rooms again. Same thing here. There are parts of this that are solid floor, some of them that are not, and that will take you directly into those spikes down there, so I just say, you know, don't even bother. We don't need that energy tank because we're full. I know that the counter looks like it can go up more, but on the original user interface, they were represented by 4 dots rather than a counter. It wasn't until Mega Man 3 where there'd be a counter. And also in Mega Man 3, I don't think that there's really a limit to the number of energy tanks you can have. I'm going to need Leaf Shield for this point. There we go. And I don't know if the dudes will spawn because it's an easy mode. Like I said, easy mode takes out some enemies here and there. And there are those, like, little slow spinning dudes that will encroach upon you. Just like when we went to this point in Crash Man's level. So that's why I have the Leaf Shield out. But they didn't seem to show up there, so that's probably because of easy mode. Okay, jump here, because you can't go through that gap. Yes, Beat, that is the way out. The obvious way out. But here they are. I'm just going to turn the Leaf Shield on. And then just try not to push any directions unless I absolutely have to move. And I am going to have to once we get to that little gap there. Because as soon as you move, the leaf shield shoots in that direction. But luckily it'll bring you right to the exit, so we're all good on that front. There's one more here. I don't believe you actually need the leaf shield here. No, you don't. There's a lot of mucking about with that. I'm actually going to bypass this altogether. Boom. Alright, we're at the boss pretty much. And this is another reason why I don't like farming the Crash Bomb, is because I don't like fighting these guys. These guys are like the worst. They're basically like the jumpy, smushy guys of this game. Except once you kill them, there's also Sniper Joe left over. So I'm just going to swiftly move onward. Oh, there's another Sniper Joe right there. Okay. Actually bring up item 1, because I can't select the items with the L1 and R1. This is gonna suck! Alright, so I know I need to destroy that wall right there, in front of the one on the very left. There's one on the very left, it's kind of covered up by the weapon bar. There's the shots. This is why I wanted a lot of item 1, because if you mistime the item 1 or misplace it, it can hit like a wall and destroy itself fairly quickly. Okay, that's 1 turret down. Squeeze here. It's 2 turrets down. Going to go down here. 3. You have to wait every time for it to explode so that you can switch weapons. Use item 3 to get back out here. Switch back to the Crash Bomb. Crash Bomb for the wall. Crash Bomb for the turret. Now I gotta do some maneuvering to get up to that guy up there, because we only have 1 Crash Bomb left, and if we fuck up this shot, we can't win. And hopefully I can get this down at the risk of completely screwing myself over via voodoo magic that doesn't want me to win. So I'll forget I'm on easy mode, so it doesn't do nearly as much damage as I think it's going to. Now I'm going to use an energy tank. Okay. The placement of this is extremely important. Yes! Alright, we got it. That deserves a drink. Holy shit. That's the worst boss in the game. Second worst is the final boss. I wasn't looking forward to that either, but I found out that the, to an extent, the rapid fire works with bubble lead. So I can shoot out 2 bubbles at a time rather than just 1, so that's going to make things a lot easier. This is the first of the famous, teleporter boss rushes. Oh, I have 7 lives. Ain't that ducky. So we have to basically fight all of the Robot Masters again, which is fine. Luckily, Crash Bomb really... I mean, I'm sure that there's someone that's weak to Crash Bomb, but Crash Bomb is such a shitty weapon that no one really cares. Actually, I think it might be Flashman is weak to that. I mean, like I said, everyone has like primary and secondary weaknesses. And I know that Flashman is weak to Metal Blade, because most of the folks in this game are weak to Metal Blade, including Metal Man. I'll show off that for shits and giggles, but... I think Flashman's like other weaknesses, like the Crash Bomber or something like that. There. That's Airman taken care of. Next up is... I just kind of just going in the loop here. Actually, here's a good chance to show off Atomic Fire. It's a charge shot. It does a lot of damage to Woodman. Atomic Fire, I think, is supposed to be like Woodman's primary weakness. Like, the individual shots don't do nearly as much. mean, obviously with charge shots, that's how they work. Metal Blade may not do as much damage, but Metal Blade is a lot more reliable of a weapon. But I just wanted to show off Atomic Fire, because I think one of the Wily forms is weak to Atomic Fire. I don't know if I'll remember which one, so I figure I may as well just show it off there. Quick Man. I think he might be weak to Crash Bomber or something like that. I know it's mainly Time Stopper, and then he's also technically weak to Mega Buster. He's one of the ones that's weak to that takes extra damage from Mega Buster, which is handy because, you know, as soon as the Time Stopper runs out, that's it, and it only brings him down to half health. And lucky me, on my first drink, that took up the rest of whatever Kraken I had left. Now, I still have the Bacardi. So I still got that going for me. So I still have other backup drink, which is nice. But, like, you know, like, Kraken is my favorite. I didn't realize how little I had left of it, because I didn't go anywhere. Oh, here we go. So, before we use Quick Boomerang, at least I remember... I don't really remember a lot. But I think we use Quick Boomerang. But watch what happens when we use Metal Blade. Oh. If it were easy mode in the NES version, it would kill him in one hit. But they kind of fiddled about with the way easy mode and difficult mode work in this game, so... it doesn't do nearly as much. Also, Quick Man lasers. In easy mode, will only do half damage to you. Or, like, they'll kill you in 2 hits instead of just 1. Alright, I don't want to use up all my Metal Blade on that. Let's see what else is... I think this is weak to Atomic Fire. I don't know. Let's find something else. Quick! Quick? Is Quick? No, Quick is not it. Quick does not affect it at all. Bubble? No, Bubble does not affect it. I don't think it's Leaf. Oh dear. I don't want to die here. Well, Metal Blade affects him. And it seems to be doing well enough, so I'm just gonna rapid fire. Yeah, that'll do it. Just aiming it up diagonally at him. I know that there is another form after this, is the thing. But I don't want to frickin' blow my load on him before I'm done. Oi, oi. I'm not gonna fucking have energy tanks left for the final boss anyway. It's not like I'm gonna be able to use the Metal Blade afterwards anyway. Okay. You weak to anything else? Oh, air shooter. Okay. Final boss can only be hit by Bubble Lead anyway. And Bubble Lead doesn't even do a lot of damage to him. Which sucks. And that's why I'm glad we're in easy mode right now, let me tell you. Oy. And then we get on to Mega Man 3, and as I've stated before, probably, I don't know if I mentioned it in the very first playthrough on this channel of that, but Mega Man 3 is my favorite of the classic series Mega Man games. So these things still do a ton of damage to you. What is this easy mode you speak of? We really didn't do anything. I lied. Now I'm gonna take advantage of everything I can get against this final boss. This sucks. Sorry, I get paranoid with timing sometimes, like, because stuff like that will happen. From what I understand, you're supposed to be able to just, like, hold forward the entire time, and you can just, like, bypass the entire thing, but... I am not willing to try. to go to the bubble lead. That's okay. We can always bring up the menu. Oh no, Dr. Wily's really an alien the whole time. No, he's not. It's a hologram. I already told you I'm not holding back on spoilers. So I got 2 solid hits on him. Oh shit! He still does all that damage to you. Well, I'm screwed. Hold on. Nope, never mind. It wouldn't let me go to the menu to check if I had an energy tank left. Thanks, game. Thanks for not even letting me check. Because you just had to have the last fucking word. I think this is why. Okay. Yeah, I see where that okay. Alright, that is a very, very valid, valid type, pro strat there. Now, see, the thing is, if I don't win this time around, if I run out of fucking bubble lead, I am fucking screwed, because, bubble lead is the only one thing that can, it's doing normal damage on easy mode. What is this garbage? If I run out of bubble lead here, I'm fucking screwed. Because bubble lead is the only thing that will harm this boss. And not even your Mega Buster will do anything, I don't think. And if I run out, that means I got a game over. And if I got a game over, I gotta go through like 7 fucking lives of killing myself. And then I won't even have an energy tank. And now I suddenly wish I had save states in this collection. Spoilers, I do not. Also, do not run into the alien. That does the most damage to you, clearly. Alright, I am energy tanking this up. This is horseshit. This is one of the reasons I don't think as highly of Mega Man 2 as everyone else does. Everyone thinks of the song that plays during the first couple Wily stages. I think of some of the bosses that are in the Wily stages. And as much as I like music in games, I weigh gameplay a lot more heavily than that whenever I rate games. Please don't let me run out. I think I have enough. I think I have enough. Thankfully, I'm not drunk yet, so... And merely on the still working on it part. Alright, we got this. Right, that saved you a few hours. I'm just gonna finish this drink while the credits roll. I don't even know if we... Was I doing a bathroom break on the credits in the last game? I don't remember. That may have been a thing. Okay, that drink's finished. Ugh. Ooh, might not have wanted to drink that so fast. Overstuffing myself. Alright, so that's Mega Man 2, everyone's favorite Mega Man game, not mine. It's my... I know, I don't know exactly where everything goes on the scale as far as classic Mega Man goes. Even considering, like, the entirety of the main numbered games and base. Because Mega Man and base counts toward that. But, I mean, this is also not counting, you know, the Game Boy games and the arcade games and such. But like at least of the 6 NES games, I rank Mega Man 2 at number 4, like just under like a bit under Mega Man 5. For me, it goes from top to bottom: 3, 6, 5, 2, 4, 1. With, 1 obviously I have said my grievances about 1. I still think 1 is a good game, just not nearly as good as the other ones on that system. Now I'm curious as to how I would rank the others, because 7 I like, but much like this game, fuck the final boss. But I think the final boss is like the worst part of that game, and that's what kind of kills a bit of the enjoyment for me, but like everything else is fine. And then 8, 9, and 10 I haven't beaten, but right now, like, I know that I've mentioned this, like, a few times on previous Mega Man playthroughs, but it bears repeating. I fucking hate Mega Man 9. And that's the main reason why I never got into Mega Man 10, was because Mega Man 9 left such a horrible taste in my mouth. I've never beat Mega Man 9. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says about get good and all that stuff. Mega Man 9 was hard for the sake of being hard. It wasn't like a nostalgic throwback to how difficult the other Mega Man games were, because the other Mega Man games weren't that hard. Mega Man 9 is full of a bunch of dick moves and cheap deaths that were not in these other 6 games. And especially when you bring the mechanics back to exactly that of Mega Man 2, and you get rid of the slide, that's no bueno in my book. Thanks, Fishman. That said, when Legacy Collection does come out on the Switch, I am more than willing to give it another shot. I am going to be getting like the 1 and 2 bundle or whatever, because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but usually when I collect Mega Man games on a single console, or like on like an emulator, or on my 3DS, for example. Let's just say my 3DS because that's official. I like to have 1 through 7. Pardon me while I go to the options real quick and set this back to normal mode, because I don't need easy mode for Mega Man 3. He says he's probably going to need easy mode for Mega Man 3. But the thing is, 1 through 6 are on Legacy Collection 1, and then 7 through 10 are Legacy Collection 2. And while I would like to have 7 on there, it's hardly worth justifying getting both just to have one game out of the 4. But I am willing to give 9 another shot, because I've noticed that playing things on the Switch makes things a lot easier for me. For example, with Sonic Mania, I had some problems. I mean, even playing on the PS4, or playing on the PS4. Let me just let this remix of Mega Man 3's theme song play, because it's pretty fantastic. Even considering that I wasn't very good at it, I still really enjoyed Sonic Mania on the PS4. But when I actually played and was able to beat Sonic Mania on the Switch, I enjoyed it even more. So hopefully being able to play the game on a handheld, because that's mainly how I play the Switch, with me being a more handheld/portable oriented gamer, that will give me the edge that I need to, get past Mega Man 9's bullshit, and at least see it as a better game. Maybe take it off my most hated games of all time list. Because I know that that's not going to help for fucking Spirit Tracks. Let me tell you, Spirit Tracks is my most hated. Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks is my most hated game of all time. I had to force myself to play through that shit. I'd probably take Skyward Sword off if they off that list as well, if they remade the game with non-shitty controls. Because as it stands, Skyward Sword's fucking garbage. All right, another Mega Man game, another 8 Robot Masters to defeat. Now, if you've seen my other Mega Man 3 playthroughs, you'll know that I always start with Hard Man, because Hard Man is the first Robot Master I ever defeated when I was a kid. and I've gotten so used to starting off with him and defeating him first, that's just pretty much how I roll. I know a lot of people go after Magnet Man first, and then go after Hard Man, but I can't stand going through Magnet Man without the Rush Jet, so I don't. I'm very set in my ways when it comes to Mega Man 3. I know all the secrets and all the tricks of the trade, although I did learn some new things, like why Top Spin is so unpredictable as it is, and also I did learn of a glitch involving like Rush Marine and Rush Jet. So apparently, I'm fairly sure that they took it out of this version of the game. Oh, also, before I get too far, I just want to point out, from Mega Man 3 onward, the circle button acts as a slide button. So I'm going to be using that quite a bit. It's a lot easier to pull off slides using that than down and jump. As easy enough as down and jump is, it makes me feel like I'm playing Mega Man X. And Mega Man X is my favorite Mega Man game, so... Anyway. Apparently there is a glitch, where if you shoot some... Because, with the Rush items, like Rush Coil, Rush Jet, Rush Marine, you can also, shoot, arm cannon pellets while you're doing that. It's not like Mega Man 2, where, if you're using item 1, 2, or 3, you can't use your arm cannon. No, that's one of the reasons why Rush is so awesome, because Rush does away with that bullshit, and allows you to fire if a Rush can't be summoned or if Rush is already out, and also Rush. I may have mentioned this as well. I know there's a lot of stuff I may have mentioned, but it bears repeating because that's just how my mind works. I know that a lot of the characters, at least with the way that they were originally named, are named after, like, music stuff. I mean, not like the Robot Masters, but like Mega Man and all them, and their Japanese versions names have, like, music-based names. So, Rock is, you have Rock and Roll, because Mega Man is actually called Rockman in Japan, in case you didn't know for some reason, because I'm fairly sure that's common knowledge by this point. But yeah, Mega Man is called Rockman in Japan. And the two robots were Rock and Roll, with Roll being, Mega Man's sister of sorts. I shouldn't be jumping there, actually. I should be doing that. Rapid Fire also helps a lot in this. But, Proto Man, who we just saw a little bit ago, the little red guy, he's called Blues in Japan. And you have Bass and Treble in 7 and 8, who are called Forte and Gospel in Japan, by the way. And then you've got Rush, other animal friends, actually. You've got the bird from Mega Man 5 and 6 and onward, who's Beat, like, music beats. In Mega Man 5 for the Game Boy, you had Tango the cat. So what about Rush the dog? Well, that doesn't sound very music-like, unless you consider my favorite band of all time, Rush. The Canadian prog rock trio that's been, I'm fairly sure, I think that they're retiring now. Or at least retiring soon. I could have that wrong, but they've been going strong for 40 years. That's much longer than I've been alive, so... I've said multiple times on the channel that Rush is my favorite band. So, yeah. That's where I like to think that Rush's musical, the Rush the Dog, where his musical-inspired name came from. Okay, here's something I don't like about the remix music. They replaced Top Man's theme with the opening stage to Mega Man 7. Now, I think it's a good song and all, but I do kind of like Top Man's music a little bit more. And I'm really not sure why they replaced it with this. Now, I do know that a lot of the songs do come from the arcade games, which we'll be seeing later. And that's why there have been some that have been replaced, like with this game and 1 and 2. There were only some tracks that got replaced, but not all of them. Am I still... Okay, I just had to make sure I was still in normal mode, because I could have sworn there were 2 guys there. But that's because, not every Robot Master's in the arcade games, and there were only, like, a few, remix songs represented here and there. Now when we get to 4 and onward, the awesome thing about those games, in regards to Navi mode, is that, in addition to the songs that they've taken from the arcade game, they have also remixed every other song from those games, and it's amazing. I love the remixed soundtracks from 4, 5, and 6. I will admit I do like Tomahawk Man's... I like Tomahawk Man's stage music both ways. I do prefer the NES version in that case, but the remix version is no slouch either. But for whatever odd reason, they replaced Top Man's theme with the theme from the opening stage from Mega Man 7, which, oddly enough, I think was used in the first arcade game for Turbo Man's level. And Turbo Man has his own theme from Mega Man 7, so I don't know. But that's one of the things I don't like about the remix sound. That's like the only thing really I don't like about the remix soundtrack is that they replaced Top Man's theme with this song. As good as this song is, I like Top Man's theme a bit more. But luckily we won't have to deal with that too much longer. This is the end of the stage. As you can see, I'm a master at this game. And even though I use a lot of the hard knuckles on those robot cats, and I know they have names, I don't know the names off the top of my head. I'm fairly sure we can defeat Top Man with only 5 hard knuckles. Yeah, we got this. Top Man is immensely easy. Also, oddly enough, the remix of the boss theme that we're hearing is the boss theme from Mega Man 3, but it's actually it's a little bit weirder in this case because when it was used in the arcade game, it was actually used as like the continue theme. Like if you lost and you need to if you want to continue and put more coins in, it plays that song. Which is why it sounds a little off compared to the original, but whatever. I know it's Shadow Man stage next. And Shadow Man's weakness is the top spin, as we all know. But the top spin is considered one of the worst weapons in any Mega Man game. I am inclined to agree. Its uses are very, very limited. I only see it as the weakness for Shadow Man, the Heat Man Doc Robot, and the very final boss. And that's it. And now that I think about it, I never really finished my original point about that glitch. Okay, so let me get back to the glitch. And as much as I'd like to try it out, I know that I'm not going to be able to in this game because I think they took it out of this version. Okay, so the glitch I was talking about before I interrupted myself for some reason with Japanese names or something like that. Anyway, the thing is, like I said, if you're using any kind of rush module, rush coil, rush jet, or rush marine, you do have the ability to fire your arm cannon, which is great. Now, if you shoot the arm cannon and then you switch to another weapon, the arm cannon shots will still remain on screen and will still damage enemies. But if you change the weapon to a different, obviously to a different weapon, the arm cannon shots will do the same amount of damage as that weapon normally would. So, for example, if you're shooting arm cannon from like Rush Marine, and you swap over to Top Spin, the arm cannon will do the same amount of damage as a Top Spin would to the enemy. So if if the enemy in question is immune to topspin, and there are enemies that are immune to topspin, then the bullets will just bounce off. But if you were fighting someone like Shadow Man or the I think the Heat Man and Crash Man Doc robots, as well as the final phase of the final boss, they will take as much damage from those hits as they would from a single quote-unquote hit of topspin. And it's something I'd like to try. Unfortunately, I think that was taken out of the Legacy Collection, so I'm not going to be able to try it here. But the reason I was able to think of that was because of... I found out how topspin works and why it's so unpredictable sometimes to determine how much weapon energy you're going to use when you hit Shadow Man, for example. I died. That's great. I may not be able to beat him now. Because, as you saw there, that first hit of topspin took like almost half the energy. You see, when topspin is active and it hits an enemy, like that, the problem is that it is constantly hitting the enemy, and it counts as multiple hits, like in very, very rapid succession. Let's see if I can beat Shadow Man with Mega Buster, shall we? Now the thing is, it's also trying to hit when an enemy has invincibility frames. So the reason that it took like half of the weapon energy to do that one particular hit on Shadow Man is because it was hitting him during all of those invincibility frames. And every time it, quote-unquote, hits, it takes a bar of energy away. And that's why it's so unpredictable and stupid. Because I guess it wasn't programmed correctly. And I don't know of any other version of the game. Maybe the Wily Wars may have fixed it in some way, shape, or form. I really don't remember. I haven't really gotten around to playing a lot of the Wily Wars. But I do know of one game, at the very least, where topspin is actually very, very useful. And that's Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS. Because it's just like a dash attack, and it works fine. Now, the reason I died there, the reason I had to use a continue, is because Shadow Man is a hard motherfucker to kill. And obviously the reason we get to keep our energy tanks, right? We do get to keep our energy tanks, unlike Mega Man 2, that filthy, filthy whore of a game. Apologies to any Mega Man 2 fans. But if I can't beat him in like one go with the topspin, I'm pretty much screwed. And that's even if I'm not tipsy or whatever. That's just like common, you know, playing a game on a Tuesday sort of thing. And it technically is a Tuesday right now as I play, but like, you know, if I just like, you know, decide to fire up Mega Man 3, I always gotta, you know, ask myself, am I gonna beat Shadow Man easily today? Because the answer may be no. It's very, very, very rare when that sort of thing happens, and you witness the very rarity that when it does happen, because normally I'm a little bit better with the topspin there, but I do have the feeling there may be a little bit of lag with this setup as well, at least with the PS2. I mean, I really haven't experienced... I really don't think that's true. I don't know if it's just something with the game. No, there really isn't that lot of lag. I'm just imagining things. I'm the crazy one here. You're not crazy. I'm crazy. You know, I mean, I think I did notice a little bit of lag when I was playing Mega Man 2 earlier before I started recording, because I'm thinking, well, there might be a bit of lag because my current setup, I actually got a new surge protector and a new HDMI switch. Because the HDMI switch that I had was semi-broken, like port 2 on it. It was like a 4-port HDMI switch, and the second port stopped working a couple of years ago. I did keep using it for a while, just because I only had 3 consoles that I had hooked up to it anyway, so it was fine. But I didn't have my capture card hooked up to it because I didn't think it was working properly. It was just how I was hooking up the capture card. Because when I hook up the capture device, there's like a very specific procedure to making that work properly, because otherwise it's not going to capture the sound. So yeah, the topspin fine that time. So anyway, the way it works out, because I have the Switch now, I did end up wanting to have a new HDMI Switch, one that actually worked well this time on all of its ports. I got a 5-port one because I thought I had an extra HDMI cable for capturing off of the converter for AV. I don't. I need to get another HDMI cable for that. I'm actually using the one from the PS4 for this right now. I mean, it works fine. It's fine. But I have like everything going through the HDMI switch into the capture device into the TV, because even if the capture device is off, it'll still feed the video through to the TV. So at first I was thinking, because the PS2 is going AV through the HDMI converter, through the HDMI switch, through the capture box to the TV, I figured there might be like a bit of lag going on, and I thought that I detected some lag when I was playing Mega Man 2, but that notion is actually kind of unfounded. This is actually very, very responsive. So I don't know what I'm complaining about. I mean, I'm a bit tipsy, a little bit. I'm barely affected, in all honesty. You know, I'm still going to label this as the drunk run, but I mean, I found out a while back that the Bacardi can't get me drunk on its own. And usually when I get, like, super piss-faced, I also have the Jim Beam Kentucky Fire to go along with it. I don't got any of that at the moment. I didn't have any of that last week either. So, I mean, Kraken can get me good and drunk if I drink a lot of it, but considering that the last of my Kraken actually went to my first drink tonight, not sure how well I'm going to do with the rest, because the Bacardi, I mean, as good as it is, and again, it took a bit for me to get in tune with it, but I don't think I can really get drunk off of it. But luckily, when I start recording this again sometime next week, I'll make sure to go to the store and get me some more Kraken and some more Jim Beam, because next week I'm on vacation number 2 for the year. You know, just to have something to talk about, because that's what most of this is let's think of things to talk about. That's how I normally am when it comes to Let's Plays on my own. So yeah, I have like 3 vacations planned within 3 months of each other. The way it works at the company I work for, all of our paid time off is accrued over time per year. So the more I work, the more paid time off accrues, which is fine. The kind of I will say the kind of sucky thing about it, and it's really not a big deal. It makes it a little bit easier for me to calculate in the long run, but the kind of sucky thing about it is that the paid time off that we accrue is for everything. So it's not like, you know, when I worked at Food Lion or GameStop, I had I had sick time, like a fixed amount of time every year. You know, I had so much time for sick days or personal days, and I also had so much time, you know, for allotted vacation. And, you know, if I didn't use my vacation time or whatever, I would be compensated for it, you know, in one of my paychecks the next year. Where I am now, however, where I currently am and have been for the last 4 years, I don't like to disclose my place of employment in current for the current, because Lord knows, if you talk about your work and mention it by name, I could get like the fired over Facebook bullshit. Which is why I never mention where I'm working at. So every time, back in the day though, I've learned that since then, every place that I'm not currently working is fair game. So whereas in the past I've said I work at a game store, I worked at GameStop. And I'm a broken and shattered man for it. I'm going to use an energy tank because I don't feel like going through all that again. And I'll get plenty of energy tanks throughout the rest of the game. Suck it, Snake Man. Suck my snake. So I'm not going to mention the place I currently work. I just do what I say I do. I work vendor services for a small shipping company. But the way that it works where I'm currently employed, but yeah, all of the pay time off goes toward everything. Like if you take sick days, vacation time, personal days, that's all lumped in the same amount of time, that all in that time period. And if you don't use it all by a certain point the following year, you lose it and aren't compensated for it. So I'm lucky that my boss, keeps track of that shit and lets me know, hey Patrick, hey Rado Goji, or however I'm going to have her talk in this particular scenario, you've got all this time left over. And I know that there's an online resource I can use to check it, but I've had problems logging into it, so I didn't know how much time I had left. Turns out I didn't take too many vacations last year. I did, because usually they've been extending out the amount of leeway for using up your pay time off. Like when I first started at the company, almost 4 years ago, it was you had to use it all by some point in February, and then it went to March 15th, and now it's April 30th. And it's a good thing too, because I was informed. I mean, I wasn't able to check the exact amount of hours that I had just saved up and waiting to be used on the website, because like I said, I had problems logging into it, but my boss was able to look at all that, and she was able to tell me that I had 104 hours that I had to use by April 30th. So I took a week off, the first full week off in this past February. The first full week in March I'm taking off, because as of today, the day I'm recording this is Tuesday, February 27th. So all of next week I'm going to have off. And I also have almost a full week off near the end of April. And it was initially a few days, but I had to extend it out a bit. And I figured that, because what the plan was that next week I was going to go down to Florida to visit my brother. But with the way that JetBlue does their pricing, I wouldn't have been able to afford it for the days that I wanted. Because normally, JetBlue has non-stop flights between Richmond, Virginia, and Orlando, Florida. And I live, just outside of Richmond, so, whenever my brother comes up, he'll just, have, one of those flights, because he lives in, he lives in Titusville, which is about an hour away from Orlando. And he'll just go to the, whatever Orlando airport is there, and then he'll take the nonstop flight from Orlando to Richmond, which is only like, a couple hours. And then he stays up here for as long as he needs, and then he goes back down. And basically the way they do it, at least, how they plan it out is, he normally goes, he doesn't take a round trip plan. He takes a, I still can't use L2 and R2 to select items. That sucks. Here's one of the parts I actually wasn't looking forward to for this, but I'm still fairly lucid, so I think I'll be okay. As long as I don't pause the game, I'll be fine. As long as I don't need to pause the game, I'll be fine, like to take an energy tank or something. Oh, dear. Well, looks like I'm doing it the hard way now. I mean, in all honesty, the hard platformy way is not that hard. Just the Rush Marine way is a lot easier, and I do not have enough pickups to be able to make the trip with half a Rush Marine. Because I used all the pickups on the way there, so go me. But anyway, oh shit. Alright, let me rush coil back up there. The thing is, instead of taking a round trip, he would basically buy, or he will, because he does this often enough, he will basically buy, are you fucking kidding me? 2 one-way tickets. One up and one down. Because it's actually insanely cheap to take those flights at certain points. He can go, here and back for, $200, $300, which is not bad at all. And then when we went to, to plan the trip out, because my initial plan was to go on the Sunday and come back on the Saturday. But, as it turns out... Oh, are you fucking kidding me? I fucking hate those frog things. Those frog things can suck my dick. And I don't have any rush coil. What the fuck? Ugh. This is why this was one point I was not looking forward to doing. Because this part can easily be fucked up too, and I'm fucking screwed until I have to game over. All these fucking dragonflies. If it weren't for the fucking dragonflies, it'd be fine. Those are the worst. The dragonflies and the frogs are the worst enemies in the game. Alright, I got this though now. So basically, the way that it fuck you. The way that that JetBlue actually prices its stuff, it actually is dependent on the day. And it's Monday through Thursday is when they charge those flights. They'll charge maybe $200 at the most. But on Fridays and Sundays, it'll be $400, almost $500. And Saturdays are over $500. So whereas normally, going by my brother's plan, it would take me, maybe cost me $200 or $300 to go back and forth. If I were to go with my initial planning on the vacation, it would have cost me almost $1,000 that I do not have. So I actually extended the vacation out on my April part of the vacation out one day, because even though I'm using up all of my time from last year, I will have accrued enough time from this year, because even when you start the year, you'll start accruing more time. So I'll have more than enough time accrued from the beginning of the year to take a day off. So I extended it up through the Monday, because it was, and I can, Wednesdays I normally have off anyway. So I'll be going down a Wednesday and coming back on a Monday in April, rather than going, Sunday through Saturday. So I can actually afford it in April, and I'm just gonna, stay home for next week, because I'm not taking the time back, because I still gotta use it up. Otherwise I'm gonna lose it. So give me one moment. I'm just going to go ahead and go to the bathroom real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. And in all this talk about part-time or paid time off logistics and glitches and shit, I've neglected to mention what all these weapons do that I've been getting. Now, if you've played my, or if you've played Mega Man 3 before, or if you've seen my previous Mega Man 3 playthroughs, you'll know what the weapons do. But in case you haven't played Mega Man 3 or seen those playthroughs, Hard Knuckle I got from Hardman. It is a projectile that fires slowly forward, but you can adjust its pitch with up and down on the control pad, and it's a shit ton of damage whenever it hits something. Top Man gave me the Top Spin, which is an aerial attack that basically turns Mega Man's body into the hitbox. But because of how it's kind of glitchy and how it calculates the energy and whatnot, and it also has the potential to hurt Mega Man, it is a very, very risky move to use, and not all that useful. Shadow Man gave a Shadow Blade, which is basically the poor man's Metal Blade. It can only fire in 5 directions, left, right, up, and diagonally up, and also has a limited range. It basically goes out a bit and then boomerangs back to you. Snake Man gave a Search Snake, which is kind of like Bubble Lead in that it travels along the ground, but it can also travel along walls and such. And at least it can travel up walls. I don't know about down walls. I think down, it actually won't go down walls, but it will go up walls. And Gemini Man just gave us Gemini Laser, which can reflect off of walls up to 3 times. The downside to Gemini Laser is that because the one laser counts as 3 shots, you can only have one on the screen at a time. And if it doesn't hit your target, you have to wait for it to get off the screen before you can fire another one. So I don't normally use that. Going on to Needleman, though, because Needleman has Gemini Laser as a weakness. And something I didn't mention, that I have mentioned again in other playthroughs, is that, unlike most Mega Man games, there is not one clear weakness loop, like there is in, like, 1, 4, 5, and 6. Now, I know that 2 didn't have a clear weakness loop either, because, like, every Robot Master in 2, like, had a secondary weakness as well, and some of them were even weak to the Mega Buster. In Mega Man 3, however, there are actually 2 smaller weakness loops, one of 5 and one of 3, rather than there being one large one of 8 that, like, every other Mega Man game would use, other than 2. So the way it works out is that there are, the larger weakness loop is, starting off with Hard Man, gets you Hard Knuckle, which is good against Top Man. Top Spin is good against Shadow Man. Shadow Blade is good against Spark Man, and Spark Shock is good against Magnet Man. And then Magnet Missile is good against Hard Man. And then the smaller 3-way loop is Snake Man, gives you Search Snake, is good against Gemini Man, gives you Gemini Laser, is good against Top Man, or not Top Man, Needle Man, gives you Needle Cannon, which is good against Snake Man. Now, the reason I went into the smaller weakness loop halfway through the bigger one is because Gemini Man, not Gemini Man, Shadow Man will give you Rush Marine, which, in theory, is will make Gemini Man stage a bit easier. As I clearly failed to show, because Rush Marine, I mean, I got bombarded with shit and didn't get to use Rush Marine to its full potential there. But the main thing is that I don't like going to Sparkman or Magnet Man stage without the Rush Jet. You get Rush Jet from Needleman. But of the 3 in this weakness loop, the easiest one to kill by far with the Mega Buster is Snake Man. And I also like having the Rush Marine for Gemini Man stage, so that's why I started off with Snake Man in that case. Then went on to Gemini Man stage with the Rush Marine from Shadow Man stage, and then saved Needle Man for last, because he's kind of hard to kill without the Gemini Laser. It's kind of hard to kill even with the Gemini Laser because of how, what's the word I'm thinking of? How unreliable the Gemini Laser can be sometimes, but yeah. Also, we're at the end of the stage now. Needleman has a very, very short stage. I don't know how they got away with this, but Needleman's stage is incredibly short. So let's get the Gemini laser out. He's going to sit there for a bit. That first one almost always hits him in the back of the head. I don't know why I jumped there, but it seemed to hit him on the rebound, so that's fine. So four Gemini lasers will kill him, but like I said, Gemini lasers kind of hard to use. And it's especially going to be hard when we get to the Dock robots, which are basically bigger hitboxed clones of Mega Man 2 bosses. Because Gemini laser is like the main weakness for Quickman, and Quickman is hard to hit as it is, let alone with the Gemini laser. I'm fairly sure that each of the Dock robots has more than one weakness. I think they each have a secondary weakness as well. I've just been associating each Dock robot with a particular weakness. But we have Rush Jet now, so I'm going back into the larger loop with Sparkman stage, which like has everybody's favorite music from this game. And as awesome as a song as this is, it's not my favorite. My favorite is Wily Stage 1 from this game. Probably my favorite classic series Mega Man song. Oh, this is my favorite. It's my favorite Wily theme, and it's definitely my favorite song in this game. But Sparkman's song is no slouch either. I kind of wish that there was a remix of this song, but there isn't. But that's okay. This is one of the first places I like to use Rush Jet. It's not entirely necessary to use Rush Jet here, but I just like to, because fuck platforming, I guess. And also I like to go through this. I should probably be jumping too. There is a bit of a glitch with the Rush Jet. As long as you're not physically touching the Rush Jet, it won't use any... I should turn around to that, or wait, no we won't. As long as you're not actually physically touching the Rush Jet, it won't use any energy. So like right now it's not using any energy because I'm not physically touching it. So if you repeatedly jump while using the Rush Jet, that'll actually save you a hell of a lot of weapon energy for it. Also, Needle Cannon we got from Needleman. It's basically like a Mega Buster shot, only it's rapid fire, so if you hold down the button, it'll shoot him in quick succession. I mean, I already have a rapid fire button, but I think Needleman, the Needle Cannon is ever so slightly more stronger than the Mega Buster. So whenever I remember to, I'll usually use the Needle Cannon in lieu of the Mega Buster. I always try to find like an alternative Buster Shot nowadays. Because normally when I play through a Mega Man game, I am loath to use a Robot Master weapon unless it's unless I'm on the boss that it's weak to, and thus with most of the time, with the exception of Mega Man 2 going to Metal Blade, I'll end up using just the Mega Buster throughout the level, and then just going on to whatever weakness when we get to the actual boss. Sparkman is immensely easy, by the way. Just do this. Just fire diagonally upward on him when he's in the middle platform, and he's done. Also, Shadow Blade, much like Metal Blade, has a shit ton of uses, so... I mean, unlike Metal Blade, I still would not count that as like a good secondary weapon because it has a very limited range, but it's useful for what it's useful for. Spark Shock is kind of like a regular Mega Buster shot, only it will paralyze enemies. So it's, instead of killing them, so it's not really all that useful. I actually found out about that fairly recently, like only a few years ago, that it actually paralyzed enemies, because, like I said, I mainly use the Mega Buster in every stage. More artistic liberties with the music, I see. This is not Magnet Man's theme. This is actually Cloud Man's theme for Mega Man 7. For whatever reason, they decided to use the Cloud Man theme from the arcade games in lieu of Magnet Man's song, which is actually, pretty cool as it is. So, another reason why I don't you know, I guess reason number 2 why I don't want to say it's a reason I don't like the alternate soundtrack, because I really do like the alternate soundtrack. Like, when the remixes are good, they're really, really good. But Mega Man 3 got the shaft for whatever reason. I think it's because they maybe just didn't use a lot of Robot Masters from Mega Man 3 in the arcade games. And when they came up with the when they were doing the complete works for the PlayStation 1, they were like, well, we're using all of these arcade tracks, but we don't have a lot for Mega Man 3, because not a lot of Mega Man 3 songs were used. I know, we'll just throw in some of the Mega Man 7 ones. That'll do the trick. I think the thing I should be saying is that it's the only thing I don't like about the alternate soundtrack, is that Mega Man 3 does forsake some of the better tracks in the game. I mean not better tracks compared to others, but some of the tracks in the game for like completely other songs, and doesn't really fit. Like, I could not see this fitting for Magnet Man stage at all. I guess it's kind of similar to Magnet Man's original theme. You can look it up if you want to, but I don't know. I don't think Cloud Man's stage when I think of Magnet Man. I think Magnet Man's stage. I mean, and that said, the awesomeness of the alternate soundtracks will make itself more apparent in Mega Man 4 through 6. And I know that I'll probably mention it later, and we'll see it as well. But Mega Man 4 through 6, they do use. I probably mentioned this last week. I don't care. I don't remember mentioning it. But Mega Man 4 through 6, while they do use the songs from the arcade when they can, every other song has a remix that they just made specifically for the PS1 versions, which then were used for the Legacy, or not Legacy Collection, the Anniversary Collection. Here's Magnet Man, by the way. His weakness is Spark Shock, and it's a good weakness on him, but sometimes you get into a position where, like, if he's using his like magnetic attraction thing toward you, he's impervious to every attack. You just gotta get your timing down on all that, and you'll be fine. And now we got Magnet Missile. The way Magnet Missile works is that it shoots forward, but if there's an enemy above or below it as it passes, it will basically make a 90-degree turn up or down toward that enemy. So it's fairly useful in certain areas.